that'd be a good idea.
That's Ricky Lee Jones. 11:10 the time on what is now an absolutely gorgeous Monday here along Southern California's coastline, broadcasting live and direct across the globe from the magnificent city of Beach, California, where today we have king tides. King tides, not necessarily giant surf, although there are some fairly decent sized waves. It is a much longer, much more powerful tide that comes in. So if you're walking the beach with your family, hold on to the kids, be very careful, as king tides will be here for at least a day or so. As we do each and every Monday at this time, with the exception of next Monday. I got that straight. We welcome Dr. Anita Wang. She is, as I often say, first and foremost a scientist. She's also an emergency room surgeon, which I will have to ask her some questions about that in a moment. But she also runs the greatest wellness facility anywhere on the West Coast. Welcome, Dr. Wang. How are you?
I'm great. I love my Mondays just because I'm here with you.
And we love having you. The audience loves having you. I love having you here. And it's always informative. You have been, thank you very much for the text about the New York Knicks. I know
that wasn't exciting, just seeing him tip that right in at the last minute, and they came up from behind, so yeah, that was amazing.
So you watched Game 4 and 5. Game 4 was with a tip-in, of course.
I missed Game 5.
Oh.
I had to go out and do a little relaxation.
Okay. All right.
Out on the water.
Okay.
You know, that's my thing. I was out on the water.
I noticed you didn't bring a note. There's no note from home. That's an unexcused absence of the television here. Well, I'm glad you had a chance to relax.
Yeah.
And relaxation is just such a part of great health. You want to chill out once in a while, right?
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And you do that by sailing.
I do.
Is that your most relaxing event? Most relaxing thing you did?
I don't know.
Are you a yoga person?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm a yoga person. I can just veg out. I can just, I'm super focused that I could be staring right at you and not even see you. People think I'm rude. I said, I saw you. You didn't wave to me. I didn't see you. Well, we saw you. I'm like, well, I was in my zone. I was like tuning out to the world. But you were talking about El Nino now and the weather. We've got this beautiful weather and everything in El Nino. But I was thinking about, because I don't bring up much about Chinese medicine into this, and I was thinking, with that comes, extreme heats and different weather patterns and all of that, of how in Chinese medicine, this is kind of the damp heat kind of season, and that's how it affects the body. And with the damp heat, you're going to have more things like, heaviness and brain fog and fatigue and digestion things, irritability. So with El Nino, so I was surprised that you didn't bring any health issues, health topics when you were talking about the weather.
I gotta be honest with you, until you walked in the door, I had really little or no clue about that.
So that's the liver qi. So you're going to have some stagnation. So if you have some issues with your liver, that's going to be detoxification from your estrogen. So some emotional, some labile, mood swings, that type of thing. Cortisols, more stressful periods. If you don't methylate, so it depends on so when I go to the functional medicine, I like the science-based. Not that Chinese medicine isn't science-based. There's a lot of data on it, but they have less empirical, evidence-based medicine, but they still do. But in functional medicine, we're going to talk about your methylation, how well you don't clear things like that. So it's going to be the liver stagnation, and then you're going to have your spleen, qi. So there's going to be deficiencies in those. So that's kind of the dampness and your digestion. So you got low stomach acid. Pancreas, so B12, iron, that types of things. Your mitochondria may not be functioning as well.
Let me stop you for a second here. When it's incredibly hot, just oppressively hot. I hate the heat. I don't go to the desert. I have family in Las Vegas. They don't see me very often during the summer. I cannot stand the heat. It drains me. Is dry heat better than, well, a humid heat, or?
Well, it depends on your body, right?
Okay.
So when you have the wind invasion, like we're going to have in with El Nino,
Right.
that's the sudden weather shifts, barometric shifts, all of those things, that affects your autonomic system.
Okay.
And so people are going to have migraines, joint pains, that types of things. You know, all of these histamine releases, allergies. So yes, I think that you're affected by the weather. You don't like it, depending on how your body functions and whether the balance in there. So yes, it's definitely geared towards you.
You mentioned migraines, and right now I have a friend suffering through a migraine, and it's debilitating. A migraine
Yes.
is actually debilitating. What should they do for temporary relief? Is there temporary relief?
I mean, when you're in the throes of it,
Yes.
I mean, it's just what they're doing. You know,
Stay in the dark.
isolating themselves. In the dark, they're sleeping. They still need to stay hydrated. Take their medications. I mean, if they had the gamma core would actually help that. The magnesium, the B12s, those things, all those can help. But when you're in pain, you're gonna need modern medicine and medication. But when I see them in the ER, I'm usually sedating them. Is basically what I do, because I let the body heal, right? So somebody comes in with a severe headache and they say they have migraines. I don't know if people just use that terminology. They may not actually have migraines, but
What is the specific medical definition of migraine?
well, it's going to be vascular spasms. A lot of times people are having severe headaches, and it's tension headaches from muscles. Right. So depending on but either one, I pretty much just sedate them, right? So that the body can relax and body can recover and do what it needs to do.
The blood vessels expand
and relax, right? And then release that tension. And so some of that's going to be nutritional deficiencies, whatever. So the caffeine helps. That's why we usually use caffeine. That's Excedrin, migraine plus whatever that is caffeine based with salicylate with an anti-inflammatory, just so that can help. So that's that can help.
Right. My mom used to suffer from migraines, and there was just darkness. In her room, dark. Air conditioner had to be on. It had to be cool. There couldn't. She suffered the heat as well.
Well, I mean, but sometimes there's a trigger point in the back of the head because you got a big bowling ball on your neck, and then you get damages to your neck. But the axis point where it's being held on, sometimes those, if you press yourself back there and it's really sore, really painful, that could be where your source of your migraine is. So there could be structural. There was a woman who had an accident, and she was having severe headaches, but the sinuses, the fusion of the skull was kind of off. And by adjusting, it wasn't me, it was an osteopath, adjusted that and relieved her headaches that she had for 40 years, right? Same with the pain in the joint in the back. If you get that adjusted and massage and release the fascia, all of the fascia, that can release and reduce pain. So that's key.
Fascia is what I want to talk about now, because you said that fascia matters for longevity. First of all, for the audience who doesn't know, what is fascia?
So it's just a connective tissues that surrounds your muscles all around and throughout your whole body. And so for the muscles to be able to glide through, they go through, the fascia holds that, and your muscles have to glide. When you have an injury, they get stuck. The fascia becomes like scar tissue and stuck down, and the muscle now can't really glide. And you get that stiffness, and then all those people who get frozen shoulders. And so that's what it is.
That's fascia getting stuck.
It's part of that. Part of that muscles, just all of that. People just are stuck. If you see people and their posture's weird, or as you get older, but you need to be flexible and you need to release those. So I was, I was releasing, because I don't remember what the time of stress was, but I was having stress, and so I was having, I carry mine in my neck, so I was carrying tension in my neck. I was like, oh, I need to release my fascia because I can tell. So, I do these neck exercises. I'm holding my head. If it's the right side of the head, of the neck, I push with my left hand the head down to the left side. And then I push my head towards my head, like counter resistance, and that activates the Golgi gland or some kind of gland. It affects the neural system, and then you're able to push it further, and that kind of just opens up the fascia and release that. So that's what you do with massage and the stretch clinics, all of that they're doing, and then that release the tension, and then release that muscle, and you can have more mobility. So if you're getting older and you try to turn your head and you can't get to the 90 degrees because you can't drive, well, now we got all these backup cameras, right? So people don't turn their head.
Right.
But you need to be able to turn your head all the way.
To be even with the shoulder, right?
Right, yeah. So if you're not able to do that, you need to do some release of those things. You need to also be able to raise your arms all the way above your head. So people can't do that. And all the way to the back. So all of that is just bound down tissue, and it's from the fascia around the muscles. So you just need to do the yoga, the stretching, and knowing how to release that.
So during the Knicks game the other night, I must have raised my hands above my head like 50 times. Hey! Oh! Yeah, about 50 different times.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit, you can do the Qigong. Qigong is like shaking, and it releases all of that. So people see me walk, my sons always say, are you not embarrassed at all? I'm like, I want to live a good life. I need to do it. So if I'm walking and you'll see me, they look like I have a spaz attack. I'm like flapping my arms around because I'm like releasing that. I want to release it.
and things like you do yoga, Tai Chi also.
Oh, Tai Chi's great.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Tai Chi's great for that.
I love that. So please dispel, if this is a rumor, dispel it for me now. My physiology teacher in high school, my senior year in high school, I took physiology. You had to go through biology. You had to go through the steps first, the earth science and biology, and then finally, if you pass those, you get to physiology. My physiology teacher said our heads, and you just said we have a bowling ball on our neck. Our heads weigh between 12 to 17 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Our heads weigh that much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so people don't realize all the headaches and the neck aches and the upper back and shoulder. They get stressed, especially after you've had a car accident, the whiplash and all of that. So yes, that's why there's a lot of tension back there. And so you see all those neck braces people wear. You have to, because you just can't hold that bowling ball anymore.
Right. Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Roberts, for teaching me that in senior year. So, the tie between healthy fascia and longevity. Is it possible that an accident or several, like football players that suffer brain injury eventually down the road, can fascia be affected that way permanently?
I mean, if you tear a muscle and it's scarred down and you can't release that one particular, sometimes you need to break up the adhesions, but it's about mobility, right? Getting older. So if you can't get down to the floor and get up, that's mobility. And you want to maintain that. So, and that's quality of life. So we're talking about quality of life. What are the things that help us to be independent? Having muscles that are strong, but if the muscles are strong, but you don't have mobility in the joints and the flexibility to do those. So yeah, I could pick up a bench press, whatever, but I can't get to the floor. And I can't move, in certain positions, right? I can't sit Indian style, but I can pick some. So there's limited mobility. So as a kid, you could do anything. You could be a pretzel, right? So that's what you want to be, and you want to continue to be a pretzel. I used to remember my mom at the, this is when, and I don't think she can do this now, but she used, and she doesn't recall doing this, but she had to have been, in her 40s or 50s, even her early 60s. She would sit at the dinner table, and she would take her leg and put it over her head.
Wow.
And it's just like at the dinner, like, we're done with dinner, time to put the leg over the head now. Like,
Wait, before you do that, can you pass the biscuits, please?
It's just a thing, so it's that mobility. So she maintains it, so every night she's still doing her flexibility. She's not quite as flexible, but if you see her walk and move, it's not like a 94-year-old, right? So you see other 94-year-olds, yeah, they're out and about, but they're stooped, they're bent, they're stiff, they're using a cane, they're mobile, but they don't have the mobility the same, and so that's what we work with her is totally different. So we're not back to where she was, and she was complaining that she's been a bit lazy, she's watching these shows or whatever, sports game, that trying to get her the mobility back in her knee joints and things, and I'd have to work with her. I haven't been able to train her to do that. So those things can come back, but you have to work on it daily.
So I used to be able, and this is one of those I used to do this stories, but the way I used to watch television at home as a kid, I would bend on my knees, you get on your knees, and then go all the way back with my knees still bent underneath me, and my back would be flat to the floor with my knees bent. I wouldn't even think about trying that today.
You should try slowly, increase that flexibility.
I feel flexible. I feel more flexible than I did a year ago, that's for sure. But I'm not sure I can ever achieve that watching Star Trek and at home thing. So the main causes of fascia becoming stiff, can disease cause that also, any kind?
Well, I mean, inflammation, anything that's going to be inflamed. If you've got the gel in there that's going to get gunky and it needs to slide. So it's, trauma, diseases, anything that's just gunking up the system, you're not going to have fluid and mobility. So dehydration is probably one of the biggest things that people are doing. I just had a gentleman who is concerned about his kidneys. The nephrologist, his doctors are telling him, yeah, you need to hydrate. Your kidneys are not working as well and they need hydration. So he says, yeah, I'm doing my hydration. But see, that's the thing with conventional medicine. They just tell you what you need to do, but they don't really give you the specifics. So he says, I'm drinking 6 cups of water. I'm like, okay, well, how much do you weigh? Oh, well, you actually need about 80 ounces a day.
Wow, that's 11, 12 cups of water. That's 12 cups of water.
Yeah, so I said, you're not hydrated.
Right.
You're not doing your kidneys any service here. Right? So that's the difference. So we're going to get the specifics to you, what you need to do, to take care of those things.
The difference between you and going to, and no, I'm not knocking doctors that are, I'm not knocking my healthcare professional, but the difference with you is you actually hold someone's hand through the entire process.
Yeah, well, there's a difference because we need the doctors, and what I do in the emergency is, we're looking for disease, right? So there's a difference. We're monitoring for disease, and if you want to live your life, do whatever you want to do, eat whatever the heck you want, do whatever you want to do, not worry about this stuff, and then your knee is stuck, and then have a surgery or do whatever. Yeah, we have modern medicine. We are the best at that. So that is looking for disease. But if you want to monitor health, that's something different. I mean, I had a friend who's a pulmonologist. He's talking about your healthy lungs. He's talking about lungs. He's looking for disease in the lungs. And then he takes his smoke break outside, right? But he's not worried about health.
Right.
He's looking for disease. So he's not thinking about health. If you look at your doctors, and you can look at your doctor, and if they just had a heart attack, they weren't talking about health. They're preventing disease, which is not a bad thing. They're working on disease, but there's a difference between monitoring health, getting you optimal, and having you be vital, and having you maintain. So they'll tell you diet and exercise, but do they tell you how, or what, or when, or what to do? No, because that's enough different world. We used to do that as doctors before allopathic medicine, but then they took all of that out. They took out nutrition. They took that stuff all out. And so now you have people who are not MDs doing that, But I have to tell you, I think that I would rather go with people who know the science and can tell you the pathways and understand the mechanisms, and not just give you anecdotal incidents or know what is appropriate for the whole. They've done this cookbook recipe thing.
Right.
So most of them are doing a cookbook recipe. Do a Mediterranean diet. Exercise and do your this and do it so many minutes and blah 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 blah. But it's a program that they have. That if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, then what?
What are you gonna do now? All right. And funny that you mentioned Mediterranean diet. I have gone more and more and more into those types of foods. Last night I sent my sister a picture of this giant bottle of olive oil with garlic that I have, and I don't live in my house without garlic and olive oil. It's the most important things to have. I want to take a left turn. We'll come back to fascia and movement in just a moment if we can. You experienced something just a few minutes ago, and I remember as a kid there was a movie called The Gun. And the gun was the life of a gun, of a revolver. From the moment they manufactured it, all of the multiple hands it got into, to the violence that it caused, to it actually finally ending up in a dump somewhere. It was really kind of cool. I thought of that moment in that movie when you told me what you experienced in the bathroom. I will, for our audience, share that I've often discussed how disgusting men are in the men's room, that you're standing there utilizing the men's room, the urinal, whatever, and a guy will step out from the stall, never having even come close to washing his hands, just opens the door with the same handle that you're going to be opening the door with, and just walks out. Let's go ahead and, if we can, trace the germs that happen from the moment that person uses the bathroom, doesn't wash their hands, and steps out, and the effect of those germs. Can we do that really fast? Because that happened to you. You were using the restroom, and you saw a lady.
Actually, so I walk here, and I wasn't looking down, and I knew there was a little puddle, but I thought I went to the lower end where it was dry. But no, I ended up going through the puddle, and then it also is a little alley where sometimes the homeless are. So I wasn't too sure if that puddle was like washed water to wash it, or there's mixed with urine, or what was in there. So I was like, oh my God, I think I just have my feet doused in some urine, whatever. Yeah. So I went to the public bathroom, and then I felt embarrassed, or not embarrassed, but I felt bad that I was washing my feet in the sink. So I wanted to do it quickly before the person came out of the stall. So I was washing my feet and make sure that they wouldn't see that I was putting my feet in there and washing it out.
You would have cleaned the sink area.
Oh yeah, so it was clean. So I washed it. I was doing it. I was drying as I was. So I got my feet washed and dried on my shoes just in time for the lady to come and use the sink. I was just clearing it, and she just walked right out the door.
Didn't even look at the sink.
Didn't even go to the sink. I was like, I don't know why I rushed. But so she went out and all that. But interesting we're talking about that, because I used to do these demos with classrooms when I would go about super spreaders. So you put the little phenol, you put a little bit of these chemicals in the water, and so whoever has the chemicals, and then you're changing the water and putting it in there. So some people have it, the reagent, some people don't. So some became very pink, some became very faintly pink because they got in contact. Well, there was just recently a super spreader party. Somebody didn't even know, what happened or how it happened. It was this viral gastroenteritis thing. And then finally one person said, "Oh my God, it was me. I was the super spreader because my family had the illness." And then I went to this party, and then I exposed it and gave it to everyone, right? So that lady, whether if she didn't wash her hands, because it's not aerosol, it's contact. So if she had some illness, if she touches something, touches someone, touches a thing, and then someone touches it and puts it has to be a mucosal surface into their mouth or their nose, whatever, and then it gets into the GI tract, and then you have this episode. So that's what happens with the super spreaders thing.
So I will never and have never touched a bathroom handle with my hands.
Yeah,
with
no.
my bare hands, ever. It's always the towel that I use to dry my hands after having washed. And I will never touch a gas pump with my hands. I pump gas and I always use a towel or a napkin, whatever is available that the gas station has. And if they don't, I've got them in the truck. I will never touch a gas pump. I don't trust humanity to have washed their hands.
Well, I think that we know that that's what people are doing because now they all have the trash cans by the door, right?
Right.
I like the foot holder, the foot door opener. You know, they have those.
Yes, yeah. I'm not kidding. I'm quite careful in those moments. I hate public bathrooms to begin with, and if in fact I have to use, I'm just so careful. All right, back to thank you for that, by the way. Scar tissue, especially scar tissue on our fascia, it creates adhesions between the layers of the fascia. And can we get rid of those adhesions?
Yeah, so that's active release. So there's some chiropractors do it, or just you can do it yourself. There's tools that you use. I have a tool and I just rub. You rub really hard and you have to break it up. Just sometimes it's better to have somebody else do it because you don't want to create too much pain for yourself.
Right.
But so you can use those tools and break up the fascia.
And if you're feeling pain, does that mean it's working?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can have those trigger points. So that's active release, and doing any heat therapy can help. And then you can stretch and relax and move all those things and then doing what I was describing, the postural, the PFN, whatever, is the counter contraction types of stretching and release that also helps. So,
let's say you have inflammation in the shoulder. Is heat better than cold, or cold? Is one better than the other, heat or cold?
So it's going to be if it's an acute injury. So let's say that you just fell on it, you bumped it. There's going to be bleeding. And so then in order to stop the bleeding, you can apply the ice. So that's usually 48 hours to decrease the bleeding. But then that's going to decrease the healing. So in Chinese medicine, we don't actually use ice, but we have agents or herbs and things that we put to stop that bleeding. Or you could do the arnica, that types of things.
What is arnica?
Arnica is also topical that you can put on homeopathics to stop. So it's basically the more the swelling, the greater the bleeding, the greater the pain you're going to have. So you want to limit that. So in Western medicine, we use ice. So then ice would be the thing that you limit the bleeding. And then after 48 hours, that's stabilized. Now you got bruise. Now you want recirculation, so you want heat. So you want heat because that's going to dilate, it's going to increase the blood flow, that's going to increase the macrophages that go in there, that gobbles all that stuff and helps the repair. So you do want to have heat at that time. But then, when you do heat, if you had chronic joint pains and issues, you're going to flare that joint pain up because you're increasing heat, which can increase inflammation rate. So then you're going to have pain from that. So then that's why we do the alternate ice heat thing, because then you're decreasing the inflammation, increasing it. So, but generally, I like heat. So if your body is low in inflammation, you could probably take all the heat that you could get. If your body's full of inflammation, it's probably going to cause a flare-up of things, right? But you want it for that acute trauma. You want heat, you want range of motion, you want blood flow, all of that. So
And
it depends.
Should you use movement as you do that as well?
Yeah, so it depends on what it is. If it's a fracture, no, you're not going to be moving it. If it's just muscles and ligaments, they like to move. So it depends on what the injury is. So these simple things are never that simple. When people tell me to tell them something, and my brain is going like, okay, like how do I bring it down, and which do I think is going on with them? Do I think this is an inflammatory person, inflamed person, or what? So all these different little nuances. So there's a lot of nuances to it. So if you're just going by the cookbook recipe, what we say rice, right? Rest, ice, compression, and elevation, right? So you do the rice maneuver if you have an acute trauma. But there's more nuances to it if you want, but otherwise, yeah, there's little cookbook things that we can, you can do.
A question really, and again, I'm going left to right, I'm going across, I'm going top to bottom here. A question from Los Angeles, Arlo in Los Angeles. Do mushrooms have health benefits?
Oh, 100%.
And what are they?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I take mushrooms daily. It helps with the immune system. The rishis are really good. Shiitakes, lion manes, all. There's so many. So take I like the. I can't think of the brand name. Wananabe or something might be the brand. Colic has aged garlic with all different types of mushrooms, so I don't have to memorize what I'm taking. And then I cook a lot with mushrooms because they're very, very good. I just gave my mom told her to start taking some more to help with her immune system.
Even like button mushrooms or portobellos, those are.
Oh yeah, but they all have their different things. Cordyceps is good. That Rishi's more for energy. There's all things. I have to use my peripheral brain when it gets to the small details, but yes, it's good stuff.
Thank you, Arlo, for that question. I hope it was answered for you. I'll get back into supporting healthy fascia in just a moment. Maladies that you might see in the emergency room if someone comes in with a severe burn from having either had oil splattered on them while cooking or touched the oven or whatever. When do they know it's time to go to first of all, to go to the emergency room, and secondly, what types of things should they be doing at home before they go?
Well, for a burn, you want it to stop burning, right? So you're gonna reduce the temperature of the burn.
Okay.
So you remove your hand from whatever it is, and then it's still getting scalded. You're gonna put it on ice, or you're gonna put it in water, or you're gonna do it. So when you submerge it in water, that relieves the pain because the air is what's going to actually stimulate the nerve endings that are exposed and cause pain. So putting that in ice or water, cold water, can help. The most, and then first there's going to be first degree burns like a sunburn, like just redness, that type of thing, and then secondary burn is going to be the blisters. Usually I say leave the blisters on because it's a sterile barrier. And then it just protects the skin underneath. And then the third degree is where it's now white and you've just gone through and you've damaged the skin.
Tissue has been damaged.
Oh, severely damaged. I have scarring. The most important thing about a burn is the volume, the amount that is burned, because the larger the amount, you're going to become very dehydrated. So resuscitating someone with severe burn is about hydration. So if you just have a small spot on your hand, you're going to be able to hydrate. The body's going to be able to repair. If it's a first degree, you're just going to remove the heat by something so that it's got not the wind and reducing the heat, ice or water. Keep it clean and dry, and the blisters, you're going to keep that. So now we just use Bactroban or Bacitracin ointments on those things, but if it's a third degree burn, depending on the size of it, you may want the skin grafting or some repair, but the most important thing is whether that is circumferential, the size, and whether it goes all the way around. So if it's a third degree burn and it goes all the way around the arm, when it heals, it can constrict and cut off your blood circulation. And so that's what's most important. But rarely does somebody have where the burn goes all the way around. Now you could have where you spilled some hot water, it rolled all the way around, and then it does go all the way around, but it's going to be a small bit, right? But if it's the whole arm, that's like 18%, then you're going to have major contractures. So it depends on the volume. But I think of the burns that you're talking about are small household burns, are you typically not that worrisome, but people come in because they're in excruciating pain.
Right. Fascinating. Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way. And I think the thing that the thing I learned the most there was the dipping in the water, because you can't let it breathe oxygen. I think dipping a burn in your hand in water, ice water. Back to fascia and healthy fascia before we close out really fast. Strength training. How important is that as you get older?
Building 1,000%.
Yeah, right. You got to build those muscles, because we lose muscle.
We lose muscle every day. Yes, you're losing muscle. And so, I mean, you can't stop the aging process. Aging is inevitable. But as I always say, decline is not. So if you're using the muscles, but you're still losing a percentage of the muscles, and if you have not been doing strength training and you want to get back and you've noticed that you're weaker, the core is what is important. So getting in and out of the car, getting down to a seat, getting to the toilet, all of these things take muscles. And if you're just flopping down in a chair and you can't get out of the car, you can't pick up your groceries, you need to build it back up. And yes, you can do it with strength training, but if you want to have it more rapid and be able to sustain it, you're going to use like technology that I have in the office and try to get you there. And if you're not prone to wanting to work out, or you need to restore restore that muscle, then you're going to use devices, right? You're going to use some things that I have. But muscles is very important.
I think an important sign of needing strength training is getting up out of your chair and going, ugh! If you do that, I think you're going to need some strength training. Right?
Yeah, or you're thinking about buying that chair where you got to push the lever to tilt you out of the chair. Then, you need to start working out.
And you at your wellness facility, which is right here on the corner of Thalia and Glen Erie, it is a remarkable facility with all the gadgets, all the toys, everything you need to stay healthy and fit.
Right, to get you back on track and staying alive. I mean, when you're young, that doesn't mean too much. So you can abuse the body bounces out, and you're just trying to stay alive. But when you're 96, that has a lot of different meaning. Right. So you want to do as much as you can to try to keep that going.
I think you should do a dance class.
I want to. I mean, there's so much I want to do.
How do our listeners find you?
You call me, text me, message me, leave a voicemail at 949-734-0580, or you can book your own discovery call by going to ANITAWANGMD.com and just book a complimentary discovery call, and we can chat and see how I can help you, or we're a good fit.
Dr. Anita Wang, always a great conversation. Thank you so very much from the listeners and from me. We're taking next week off, but we're back a week from then. Yep. Thank you so very much.
Go Argentina.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. All right. We'll talk to you soon. 11:47 the time, 13 in front of the noon hour. It's the Mornings with Ed show, and it's the Voice of Laguna